brought you here? You were a guest at the residency in Split. Maybe we could start with that.
Absolutely. Yes, I was pleased to be a writer in residence in Split, invited by the Udruga Kurso Association. So I spent the month of September there, and we also had a reading together with two more authors, Igor Rajki from Croatia and Galerija Rondo from Germany, Switzerland. And also I had the pleasure to talk to the students of the Italian community, Italian language students there, and which is why I don't have a copy of my books here, because I had just one. Due to the limited space in my room, in my luggage, so I gave it to them when they invited me. And I had a great time there, and used it to carry on writing a new novel I'm working on right now. It's going to come out in Italy around November 2019. So I'm a little bit in a hurry actually, but I will work intensively as I'm already doing actually. So it was a great time, and I found the experience of living in Split for a month the most inspiring, especially because it's a city that, due to the presence of the Diocletian's palace, has several time layers compressed in it. So you can actually, especially as a sort of science fiction writer as I am, which is not completely true, but it is partly true, I love dealing with time layers. And the fact of living in a city where you can find the Roman Empire and at the same time as the Middle Ages, and then also the present, and also some maybe reflections of potential futures, it is actually very enriching as an experience. So it was
we were talking today about sci-fi in Italy. What can you tell us about the status? If we can put it like that, the status and the sci-fi scene.
Well, I think the sci-fi scene in Italy per se is very active. You know, there are great authors. Some of them published also internationally in English and in other languages. The only problem we experience in Italy with science fiction is that literary critics consider it as a second division genre. Yes. So it's a sort of minor literature in their own view. And very few among them respect it. Never mind if we talk about Stanisław Lem or other great names, Philip Dick and other giants. They still have, you know, this sort of skeptical approach, and so you can imagine how difficult it can be for an exclusively sci-fi author to emerge and be respected. As I was telling you before, I deal with different things. So I'm not. Even if I use some stylistic elements of science fiction, I also write mainstream fiction, especially psychological novels, like the one I'm working on right now. So.
And how prominent would you say is this particular genre within the community, the global community? I know because many of my friends are what you can call geeks. You know, they're interested in these kinds of things, and most of them are well aware of things that are going on. I'm not very well informed about the community in Italy, because here they say, you know, some sommeliers, they say, if you say that you like rosé, it's a little bit like, you know, you're not very good at wine, you're not particularly literate when it comes to wine, and it resembles a little bit that story with sci-fi and the literary context, you know, you're like a lesser.
Well, you know, it's the communities. I mean, I can also confirm this to you in the sense that I come from Tolkien studies. I began publishing as an essayist, as you mentioned before, dealing with Tolkien's literature, and in that field also, like with science fiction, there are conventions, meetings with people, you know, basically wearing costumes and pretending to be Elvis or something like that. There are these people also in the sci-fi context, you know, with these conventions, with people dressed up like, I don't know, a Star Trek characters or, you know, Star Wars characters. It's rather normal. Then there is the more literary stream that involves writers that are, I mean, have deep culture, which doesn't only involve science fiction. And so, I mean, it is a lively community, and the main literary prize was the Urania Prize, which is actually run by Mondadori, which is the main Italian publishing house, basically. And actually, 4 members of Connectivism won it over the past 12 years. And one of them actually is published also in the United States, Francesco Verso. The others are Giovanni De Matteo, Sandro Battisti, Luca Bicremo. And it's an important prize. I mean, it's respected. But it's the only, I mean, there is also another minor one, but still, you will hardly be considered a literary author, being a science fiction author.
Yeah.
That's the main difficulty, and it's a pity because there are really great talents that are somehow slowed down by this mentality, I think.
You mentioned a word now that I found very compelling, because I heard it for the very first time from you, actually, and it's Connectivism. I took a look at the link that you sent me, which is a manifesto of Connectivism, and there are things that paint it very, very lyrical, which is something that you would not necessarily connect with concepts like these. And then it says, we search for the secret connections, the sense and the spirit of all things. So they say, we know no frontiers, we are the wolves of the stars.
Yes.
What can you tell us about this?
Yes, first thing that I need to stress, Giovanni De Matteo is the main author of this manifesto, and it's a really beautiful piece of poetry. I agree with you totally. And from the very beginning, which means around between 2004 2005 roughly, when the movement began, existing basically, and I think that from the very beginning the idea was that of not writing a series of 10 rigid rules as it was in the futurism basically, which meant that if you didn't follow them, you were out. This is from the very beginning an open source movement, which means that if you feel, of course if the others also feel that you share this halo of atmosphere, mainly concerning not only the idea of development towards the future, but also the sense of decadence, of which things in modern metropolises are imbued. You can partake of this element of I would say this aesthetics. So it is a subtle thing. Sometimes it's hard to explain what connectivism is because of this. But it is true that it has some relevant futurist elements.
Yes.
And also another source that I personally consider very important for me as an author is that of the, in English I think it's called crepuscularism, crepuscularismo. It was a poetical movement that was quite well known in Italy, roughly between 1905 and 1920, consisting of authors, like one among them was Corrado Bovoni, for instance. Sergio Corazzini was another one, who, especially talking about poetry, evoked atmospheres of like cemeteries or lonely buskers on streets, decadent hints of inspiration that you can find along the streets, basically, and this sort of sense of passing away of life and things through decades is what mostly fascinates me, and it is also present in Connectivism. But the true core, what actually makes connectivism recognizable is the effort that we put into combining human sciences and technology. So this philosophical vein combined with the scientific element that comes from the development of science and technology. So basically all the metaphors that come from, also influenced by cyberpunk, as you correctly mentioned, all the metaphors concerning the relation of man, of human beings with machines and computers are really important, but mostly as a hint for reflection on the relation of human beings with their inner source. So the depth, the self, the true self, and the shadow, the Jungian archetype of shadow, and the depth of the cosmos as well. So there are stories that are set in the remoteness of the universe, and stories that are set on Earth.
I remember when I was reading it, it kind of reminded me a little bit of two people, of Fritz Lang because of Metropolis,
yes,
and the aesthetics of Metropolis, and a little bit also of Marinetti, this machinist aesthetics. And there was a third thing, an architectural movement called Archigram, where they were stressing very much the role of technology and the role that it is playing in our lives.
Absolutely.
In the future, where it completely over-exaggerates its current role and slowly takes over the way how we live.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Which is why in the novels I've published up to now, I wanted to focus on an absurd hypothesis, which is the collapse of Italy.
Yes.
Because there was just a hint for reflection on the theme of the crisis of communication between human beings and all human beings with themselves due to the net that greatly helps us to be always connected with the others, but on a, unfortunately, too often superficial level. So sometimes the true communication that can exist between human beings is sort of compressed and unable to express itself fully.
Yes. I was also thinking about Orwell. Would you say that his vision has come true, or are we still not there yet? Is there any hope?
I think we're almost there.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing is, it is not so evident and not as heavy as it was shown in 1984.
Yes.
But if you think that all our trends, all our wishes and private things that we share with the others on social media are actually controlled, well, maybe there is not a big brother conceived as that in Norway's novel, but indeed there is a control. And whatever we do can be followed. And so I think that, you know, I always mention this, apart from the remarketing algorithms, but some strange coincidences that happen when you think of something and all of a sudden a banner pops up with something related to what you were just thinking. So I mean, weird things happen. I don't want to speculate on this, but I think that we are controlled. So I mean, it is kinder than what we see in 1984, but it's beginning to exist.
You live in Florence, and there are all sorts of beautiful things related to Florence, Dante Alighieri especially, and this literary tradition. And how is it to write about these things and work with it in a city that is so imbued with history, and where you have an image of it and aesthetics that keeps looking back all the time and is building a present that is constantly imbued in the heritage that we can see everywhere.
Well, you're giving me a precious hint for reflection right now, because I think that the fact that I travel a lot is probably due to the difficulty of writing about Florence while being there. but also for a reason that is quite personal, because although I appreciate a lot the culture of Florence and the beauty of Florence, I have never liked living there too much, to be honest, due to human factors, let's say. So I need to detach from the place in order to look at it in a more neutral and objective way, especially when it comes down to the atmospheres of the city, because it's a city that sometimes it's difficult to fully appreciate it during the day because it's packed with tourists, you know, like Split. And I think that sometimes you need to wander around the city at night, or very early in the morning anyway, to really find the traces of what it used to be in the past. Sometimes I happen to watch movies set in Florence in the 70s or in the 80s, and it's totally another world. And despite the buildings, despite the monuments that are the same, but so now, right now, I'm writing a novel in which the main character lives away from Florence and remembers Florence, but no single scene of the novel would be actually set in Florence live, just remembered. So that's why it is.
I'm currently reading Contempt by Alberto Moravia, and it's interesting how it kind of encompasses this whole aesthetics of this period, and even more so in the movie version with Brigitte Bardot. So would you say that there's a specific sort of aesthetics, if you wish, that is easily transferable from writing the original form into the movies when it comes to Italy? Is it? Can you preserve it?
That's not a good point. I mean, if I think of the great cinema tradition of Italy, especially the commedia all'italiana, the great comedies from the 60s and 70s mostly. Well, I think that we were lucky enough to have to have authors those who wrote the scripts were real writers. They were people who had this sensitivity, literary sensitivity, and transferred it onto the movie product. And I think that maybe the slow pace of life, that despite the economic boom of the 60s, Italy had, and after all still has, at least American people coming to Italy say, here it's so nice, you can slow down. So I think that probably helps to convey feelings and emotions related to the places that normally are well expressed by written texts in books, also into the script, and so into the movie.